Hello, everyone, and welcome to Mercy Maricopa's Foster, Adoptive, and Kinship Family Navigation Forum. The purpose of this online training is to provide an overview of behavioral health and the child welfare system for children and families involved with the Department of Child Safety, or DCS, and those who are adopted. Thank you for joining us. My name's Cameron Cobb. I'm the Child Welfare Liaison here at Mercy Maricopa.
And I'm Randy Webb, Learning Consultant for Mercy Maricopa Workforce Development.
Today we will be providing an overview of what Mercy Maricopa is. We will help you to understand how to navigate the behavioral health system. We will provide an overview of the Department of Child Safety. And lastly, we will review some frequently asked questions. So what is a regional behavioral health authority? In 1984, Arizona divided the state into geographic regions and selected a single organization in each region to manage the delivery of medically necessary behavioral health services. This is managed by Arizona's Medicaid regulator named Arizona Healthcare Cost Containment System, or ACCESS. Services are available to all members in each region who qualify for ACCESS. Arizona calls each of these contractors Regional Behavioral Health Authorities, or RBEAs. RBEAs provide quality behavioral health services through a comprehensive provider network. This is a map of the Geographic Service Areas, or GSAs, in Arizona. Health Choice Integrated Care, or HCIC, is the RBEA in the north. Simpatico Integrated Care is the RBEA in southern Arizona, and Mercy Maricopa Integrated Care is the RBEA in the central region, which includes Maricopa County and a few zip codes in Pinal County around Santan Valley. In addition, Children's Rehabilitative Services is the RBEA throughout the state for children with complex health care needs. Tribal RBEAs, or TREBAs, are available to tribal members and are indicated on this slide in the lighter areas. At Mercy Maricopa, there are 5 different systems of care. The adult system is made up of the general mental health and substance abuse and serious mental illness systems of care. The crisis system of care is provided by Crisis Response Network to all children and families in need of crisis services. The Office of Individual and Family Affairs supports members and family voice as well as overall member experience. The Children's System of Care serves all child members. The role of Mercy Maricopa is to meet the behavioral health needs of ACCESS-eligible members and to redesign the system to provide complete physical and behavioral health care. Our role is to collaborate with provider agencies and system partners, including the Department of Child Safety, or DCS, the Division of Developmental Disabilities, or DDD, probation, the courts, schools, and physical health providers such as primary care physicians. Children involved with the Department of Child Safety have a unique set of behavioral health needs. Our goal is to provide engagement and an assessment as quickly as possible. This will help us to better understand their unique needs. We will also provide services that are trauma-informed. Behavioral health providers will coordinate with the primary caregiver, the family, DCS, and other supports in the child's life. The goal is to minimize disruption of placement and to increase stability in their placement. Respect for diversity, inclusion, and a family and child-centered approach will be followed. The purpose of this slide is to show the timeline of services that occurs when a child is removed from their home by DCS. In the first orange box, DCS has just removed the child and taken them into custody. DCS then initiates rapid response within 24 hours. The rapid response takes place within 72 hours of being initiated. Rapid response then refers to a qualified service provider, or QSP, for a complete intake and the initiation of ongoing services. The green box indicates that the intake will take place within 7 days of the referral. Once a child and family team meeting, or CFT, takes place, the purple box indicates that medically necessary services identified within the CFT will begin within 21 days. For the blue boxes at the bottom, if the child is already enrolled, the qualified service provider may go out to assess the child in place of a rapid response taking place. When a rapid response occurs, the assessor will assess the child for their behavioral health needs and will screen for developmental needs as well. The assessor will also provide support to the caregiver or placement with an overview of the behavioral health system and services that are available to meet the needs of the child. The assessor will collaborate with DCS and placement to select a qualified service provider for ongoing care. If the assessor identifies that services are necessary to meet the needs of the child, they can refer for that service. Information can be obtained from biological family when appropriate, as decided by the DCS guardian. The rapid response assessment will then be sent to DCS, the qualified service provider, and the Arizona Early Intervention Program, or AZIP, when appropriate. The Arizona vision and 12 principles of the Children's System of Care include collaboration with the child and family when appropriate, as well as DCS and the placement. Promoting and tracking functional outcomes. Collaboration among all team members. Accessibility of services. A focus on best practices that have a track record of success. Promoting the most appropriate setting, also sometimes referred to as the least restrictive setting, meaning we want children placed in a home-like setting whenever possible. Timeliness of services, services tailored to the child and family, stability within placement, respect for the child and family's unique cultural heritage, promoting independence and self-sufficiency of the child and family, and connecting the child and family to natural supports, which we'll talk more about in a few minutes. The child and family team meeting includes the child, family, and the people who know them best. If the child is in the custody of DCS, the DCS specialist and/or placement should also be in attendance. In some cases, the DCS specialist may not be able to attend. In that situation, the placement can make some decisions in place of DCS, such as providing updates and requesting a new service. The family will choose the team unless DCS has custody. Children will be invited to the CFT unless the team believes it not appropriate for the child to attend the meeting during certain discussions if they may cause unnecessary stress for the child. Systems such as behavioral health and DCS partner to help support the child and the family. Ideally, the team should consist of no more than half professionals. Key elements of the child and family team include strengths and need-based planning. The family should be treated as the focus and as a partner in the process. Natural and community supports should be involved, which we will talk about shortly. The meeting should be in a place of collaboration and should be welcoming to creative approaches to treatment. The team promotes positive connection but not reliance on formal services. Services are customized for the child and family. Treatment should take place in the home or community whenever possible. Medically necessary services should start within 21 days of being added to the service plan.
Integrated care and the child and family team process calls for collaboration and the sharing of information about each child and the child support system.
Now more than ever, we understand the power of reducing the effects of the child and family's unmet needs while increasing their sense of support and empowerment. By putting the family and child in the middle of this process and making optimal use of know-how of their formal, informal, and natural supports, we increase the chance of helping families get help in the most meaningful ways. This is another area where the strength, needs, and cultural discovery can be used as a roadmap to guide support and treatment. We are learning more than ever in all of these systems about how to best share information while respecting each other's mandates, including child safety, having optimal health, maximum learning and vocational preparation, being a productive citizen, or avoiding delinquency, for example. Natural and community supports are people who are not formal behavioral health service providers. These include people like parents, aunts, uncles, grandparents, cousins, step-parents, godparents, best friend, neighbor, teacher, coach, someone from church, or a religious leader, or an advocate for the child and family. There are also activities in the community such as activities or events at church, after-school programs at school, parks and recreations, sports, and other activities in the community. Examples of formal behavioral health providers include the case manager, therapist, behavior coach or direct support staff, a supervisor, or a parent support partner, which we will talk about shortly. Within a child and family team meeting, an individualized service plan, or ISP, is created. The purpose of the ISP is to describe the family's vision for the future. It should identify short-term objectives, strengths of the child and family, and any current challenges. It should also include the supports and medically necessary services that can address the child and family's unique needs. Most behavioral health services must be in the ISP before they can be initiated. Exceptions would include crisis services or DCS stabilization.
Case management is for things like coordination of care provided by the case manager, therapist, or other providers. Family support might be provided by a family support partner, but it could also be support that's provided by a case manager, a therapist, or other provider. Home care training, such as working with a family or caregiver to implement a behavior plan, is another example of family support. Skills training and development is a service code used by behavior coaches and Meet Me Where I Am providers when working one-to-one with a child. Case managers can also sometimes provide skills training and development when needed. Respite is a covered service that can be provided in the family home, in a facility during the day, or in a facility overnight or over the weekend. Mercy Maricopa contracts with a number of service providers for the covered services we just discussed. Qualified service providers, or QSPs, provide the intake and assessment, case management, therapy, psychiatric services, and some also have co-located sites in DCS offices. Direct service and specialty providers offer services such as specialized therapy, intensive outpatient services, behavior coaching, Meet Me Where I Am, in-home support, transition age youth services, birth to 5, parent support, autism spectrum disorder services, eating disorder services, and respite. Although one of the primary focuses of behavioral health services are to meet the needs in the community, there are times when a child may need to receive services in a behavioral health residential setting. These types of services require a prior authorization process by our team of clinically licensed behavioral health practitioners and doctors who determine medical necessity. Home care training to home care client, also called HCTC or therapeutic foster care, is provided by a foster parent with special training and licensing. A behavioral health residential facility, also called a BHRF, or therapeutic group home, is a higher level of care that provides many services on site, but it is not a locked facility. Behavioral health inpatient facility, also called BHIF or Residential Treatment Center, is the highest level of residential care. This offers most services on site. Some are secure, locked facilities, and some are not. Additional prior authorized services that require a review by our medical management team include psychological and neuropsychological evaluations. These are completed by a psychologist to address things that cannot be determined by a nurse practitioner or psychiatrist in a standard psychiatric evaluation. Since these three evaluations sound similar, they sometimes get mixed up. A psychiatric evaluation is the most common evaluation and in most cases is able to diagnose the needs of the child. A psychiatric evaluation is a standard service that can be requested through the child and family team. A psychological and neuropsychological evaluation have to go through the prior authorization process. Lastly, Mercy Maricopa also provides hospitalization services when needed. Parent support partners and family support partners provide support to parents, guardians, and caregivers who are raising children with unique emotional, behavioral, and sometimes physical or developmental health care needs. The service is provided by a parent or a caregiver peer who has their own lived experience raising a child with special needs and who has navigated one or more child-serving systems, including things like special education, the Department of Child Safety, the Division of Developmental Disabilities, juvenile justice and the court system, foster or adoptive services, behavioral health, physical health, developmental health, and more. The goal of this type of support is to ease the journey for other parents and families, empower parents in order to help their voice to be heard, and to build family resilience. The goal is also to help children to live with their family, to be successful in school, to avoid delinquency, and to become productive adults. By connecting parents to one another, the hope is that this will promote building strong support networks. You may already have heard of Jacob's Law. One of the results of Jacob's Law is that foster parents, kinship providers, and group home placements are able to request and consent to routine outpatient behavioral health services. Some examples include crisis services by calling Crisis Response Network. DCS stabilization is also available if a child needs direct one-to-one support in the home. And as we discussed previously, there are also timeline expectations with many services. These timelines were also a result of Jacob's Law. When there is a clinical need, mobile teams should be dispatched within 2 hours. Rapid response should take place within 72 hours of being initiated, and an intake should be offered to the caregiver within 7 days. Also, routine outpatient behavioral health services should begin within 21 days of the formal request in the child and family team meeting and added to the service plan. Because DCS is the legal guardian, DCS must consent to inpatient psychiatric acute care services such as hospitalization. They must also consent to behavioral health inpatient facility, BHIF, behavioral health residential facility, BHRF, and home care training to home care client, or HCTC. Here's an example of Jacob's Law service timelines for a child named Jacob. On January 1st, Jacob is removed from the home by DCS for safety concerns. A foster home is located and rapid response is contacted either by DCS or the foster provider. On January 4th, which is 72 hours later, but it could be sooner, rapid response is completed either by Impact or Teros. our 2 contracted rapid response providers. A referral is then made to a QSP, such as Arizona Children's Association. On January 11th, which is 7 days later, but it could be sooner, the foster parent, child, and DCS, if DCS is available, attend an intake at an Arizona Children's Association office, and an initial individualized service plan is completed. Jacob's needs and medically necessary services are reviewed. In this example, counseling and a psychiatric evaluation are requested, though the needs and services vary by each child. On February 1st, 21 days later, but it could take place sooner, the first counseling session and psychiatric evaluation take place. This is the Mental Health and Substance Abuse Services for Children in Foster, Adoptive, and Kinship Care flyer, which details service timelines and how to get a hold of the Mercy Maricopa Child Welfare Team if timelines for services are not being met. Please note that the foster caregivers may initiate rapid response services if those services have not already been requested by DCS, and they may also request DCS stabilization services by calling the Rapid Response Hotline at 602-633-0763. For a quick overview of the role of the Department of Child Safety, DCS, their role is to ensure the child's safety, act as legal guardian, and provide case management for the child and family. The DCS specialist makes sure all children are receiving the necessary services and supports to meet their behavioral, educational, medical, social, and recreational needs. They also provide some in-home services for children and families that are different from behavioral health, such as family preservation and family reunification services. These services sometimes are in place at the same time as behavioral health services. If the DCS case plan is not family reunification, DCS will work towards permanency. When DCS is first involved, a DCS investigator completes an initial investigation. A DCS specialist is later assigned as the ongoing worker. We sometimes receive questions regarding access eligibility and REBA assignment of children in the custody of the Department of Child Safety. Usually geography determines the assigned REBA, but there are exceptions. For children in the custody of DCS, the REBA is determined based on the court of jurisdiction in the dependency case. This means if Maricopa County is the court of jurisdiction, but the child is placed in Flagstaff or Tucson, Mercy Maricopa will remain the assigned REBA. In most cases, a child in the custody of DCS will receive access coverage. A few exceptions include if the child is financially ineligible because of something like a trust fund, or if the child is not a U.S. citizen. The child may also be served by another system, such as Child Rehabilitative Services, or CRS. They're the REBA that meets the needs of children that have a high level of medical need. Or, if the child is Native American, they may also be served by a tribal REBA or TREBA.
Let your voice be heard. Discuss any issues you may be experiencing with your child and family team. As a foster, kinship, or group home caregiver, you may participate in the CFT and make some decisions in place of DCS if they are unable to attend. If issues cannot be resolved within the CFT, call and ask for a supervisor at the agency to discuss your concerns. In 2016, Access started a campaign on Twitter called the #NoWaitList campaign. The campaign was created to spread awareness that it is not acceptable for individuals seeking behavioral services to be placed on, quote, wait list. If this issue occurs for individuals or families, they should report the problem immediately to our child welfare team by emailing us at dcs@mercymaricopa.org or by calling 602-453-8095.
Speaking of our child welfare team, here is our contact information and our supervisor, Randy Grover. If your child is served by Child Rehabilitative Services, or CRS, Marta Urbina is the primary contact, and her information is listed here as well. We have also provided contact information for Access Customer Service at the bottom. Here we have included some additional behavioral health contact information, including Mercy Maricopa Member Services, which is available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. We have also included Rapid Response, DCS Stabilization, Crisis Response Network for crisis situations, and the DCS Hotline. The DCS Hotline is where DCS reports are made, and they can also support with information about the current DCS specialist and their contact information. At the bottom, we've also included numbers for our 3 parent support agencies, as we talked about earlier in the presentation. These include Family Involvement Center, MyKid, and Reach Family Services. Vera is the Ombudsman in the Mercy Maricopa Office of Individual and Family Affairs, or OIFA. She is available to provide support to families and caregivers to make sure their voice is being heard and to enhance their overall experience. Here's her contact information. If you would like to file a complaint with DCS, the DCS advocacy line and web links on how to file a complaint with DCS are listed here as well. Here are some additional resources regarding Jacob's Law, which was also known as House Bill 2442 legislation, the Arizona Revised Statute where it was written into policy, and a link to the Mercy Maricopa website for foster, adoptive, and kinship families. We also have a link to training and events, the Access Covered Services Guide, and cultural competence. If you have any questions, suggestions, or feedback, please contact us at dcs@mercymaricopa.org. We hope that you found this information helpful. Thank you for all that you do to serve children and families here in Arizona. Take care.